What is up, my fellow net dwellers? Couch Command here, the teddy bear whose YouTube channel is primarily based around mods at this point. Today we're talking about a set of mods for Elden Ring that just go hand in hand with it. As anyone who's played Elden Ring or has watched it knows, there are plenty of monsters in this game. Some of those monsters are just natural-born horrors like dragons and the like. However, there is an equal amount, if not greater amount, that are people driven from greed, zealotry, hatred, what have you, and have managed to become monsters as a result. And if this sounds similar at all, it's probably because you've also seen the anime Berserk. That's right, it's the anime where, while there are demons and all that, the greatest monsters tend to be our fellow humans who manage to become truly evil when pursuing their goals and desires. Since these two IPs mesh so well together, there are of course already mods available where we can combine Berserk into Elden Ring. Let's go ahead and jump into it. Berserk really lives up to its namesake in the 4th arc, where during the Millennium Falcon arc, Guts is finally given, where Guts finally acquires the Berserker armor. The Berserker armor is a armor that allows Guts to fight no matter how much damage he takes. It'll just seal his wounds and let him keep on fighting until he dies. Basically, the more damage he takes, the more beast-like he becomes, so on and so forth. That's all spiels from the show. This particular one is a Morito Berserker with cape armor physics. It replaces, I want to say, it's either Radahn or Blaidd set. And overall, the actual armor itself looks very good, but the cape doesn't quite match. It feels very Elden Ring still versus very Berserk. But you do have the glowing red eyes, the Beast of Darkness face, and just the overall feel of the Darkness armor. So it is a great option out there for anybody who wants to go into Elden Ring and play in the Berserker armor. We have another interpretation of the Berserker armor. This one is the Berserker armor and Dragon Slayer by NPL. The Dragon Slayer is the sword that Guts acquires from the legendary blacksmith that lets him actually hunt and kill the undead. This one replaces the great sword in the game, which means it's kind of nice early on, but it loses its power more towards the end game when there are so many better great swords in Elden Ring available to you. However, the armor itself is really well done. It's got a great cape that works very well with it. You've got the glowing red eyes. The Beast of Darkness face sim is the other one. This one's actually a little lighter, letting you see more details from the armor than our previous model. And all in all, it's just a great model set. This also works a little differently than the other one. The other one will let you don the Blaidd armor set, and it will still be called Blaidd or Radahn. This one actually renames those objects in-game to Berserker, so you can easily tell what you're replacing. It also actually renames the Greatsword to the Dragon Slayer, so there's no question what you're acquiring when you're using them. But yeah, it's just a really well done model. Up next we have the Black Swordsman with crossbow, Guts Berserk, Blade Sweat. I have a feeling Mr. Morito is probably not a native English speaker, just based off of how some of these titles combine a wide variety of nouns. But he is actually the one who probably has done the most Berserk model alterations as far as the game goes. I'm going to be covering several of his stuff, well, probably like 5 of his different models in this. He has by far provided the most models I could find. This model is the Black Swordsman model. Basically, this is the outfit that Guts uses after the events of the death of the Band of the Hawk, the whole part where Griffith acquires his BEHELIT and all that. This is the armor that he uses at the very start of trying to hunt down the BEHELIT users, the Dreamins, all those. Anyways, you can see the bandaged left hand with the crossbow on it, where it has that What's that? Bellows-inspired crossbow arm. He also has his variety of daggers that are on his chest that he'd throw throughout. It's a very well done model. And while I am terrible at the game and giving no justice to Guts, Guts obviously still rocked whenever he was using this. He just wasn't quite as OP as when he could wear the Berserker armor. Up next, we got another one from Morito. This is the Griffith Band of the Hawk cosplay. This is Griffith's armor during the Band of the Hawk earlier arc story. You can see he's got his white mask on, the overall hawkish look of it. This armor, I believe, if I'm remembering right, is a replacement for the Blaidd set as well, similar to what one of the earlier black swordsmen was. And it's got some decent detail to it. I didn't realize whenever I was watching the anime, but he does have like a weird little webbing that joins his legs together, kind of giving the appearance of a bird type of deal, which becomes more later. So I didn't even think about the fact that they alluded to that. Anyways, all in all, decently done armor. I actually think I like the next one he does. This Griffith cosplay is another one done by Morito, and I actually feel like this one is a lot better than the previous one. It has so much more detail to the armor. I, however, think I might have screwed up whenever I was doing this one and actually got the wrong chest plate on it. Because you'll notice that this is very much still... Again, I can't remember if it's Radahn or Blaidd's, but this is... The chest plate more resembles the actual Elden Ring armor than it does the armor from Berserk. And I don't think that's Morito's fault. I think I just picked the wrong one. However, the legs, the arms, the helmet, all are the actual correct ones for this. And it's just an overall cool look. You've got the bright silver armor, the little wings and feathers engraved into it, the sharp helm. It's just a really good looking armor set. And, you know, it's nice for Griffith to be a bit of a good guy, or at least as good of a guy as you can get in the Elden Ring FromSoft type universe. So if you like the more angelic look of Griffith, the knight in shining armor, the, you know, cliche basic knight from most RPGs, Griffith has that look, the Griffith cosplay has that look, and honestly, you can't go wrong with it. Even if you don't like the character in the Berserk series due to his greedy nature, the fact he killed all of his friends, blah-de-blah-de-blah-de-blah, you can still get behind a good-looking model and still have a lot of fun playing in Elden Ring using it. This is the Grunbeld armor and weapons, which I'm not really thinking he's got any weapons that came with this. This is just replacing, again, I believe this one is purely the Blaidd armor set. There's only one model available for Grunbeld, but he is, I want to say the Iron Rhino if I'm remembering the series right, and that's literally all I can do for you. He's a secondary character, but it's very well modeled, well designed. You've got the overall feel of the character. And yeah, I mean, it's just another character that you can roleplay as from Berserk if you'd like. I don't know why you would. I feel like he probably died very badly, just knowing how Berserk goes and how the opposition's normally treated. On the bright side, finding the boss to kill for him was really easy, and, you know, kind of was suitable for a side character. He just kills the boatman, which is one of the weakest bosses and easiest to fight. Really, the only annoying part of this guy was his ability to summon stuff, but if you ignore the summons and just smack him around, he dies pretty quick. But yeah, really not sure on why they said weapons. Weapons kind of are not a thing as far as this one went. But still, overall cool armor, and just another option if you're wanting to alter your playthrough. Now, up next is the Skull Knight. This one is Radahn armor. Thank goodness that they actually add that in the mod description, because I never get it right. And I screwed up the leggings, because I have the Radahn soldier leggings, and yeah, I need to actually have the Radahn... There's another set of leggings, I don't remember what they are. But basically, I had the wrong leggings on, so that's why it looks kind of weird. You saw how it had that center gap earlier. That was purely my bad for picking the wrong items. This is a decent armor set. I actually like the armor set for the Skull Knight that I'll be covering next. And I had to speed this up because it took me so long to kill this stupid dragon. You notice how everything's moving? This is basically, I think, either 150 or 200% time. So almost double time. It's purely just because I couldn't manage to kill this guy. He was flying, he was a pain. Yeah. Still, it's a cool look. I'm sure it would look better if I had actually picked the right pants. And it does have that iconic Skull Knight feel, though it feels like it's missing something with the Skull Knight not having his cape. Like, the cape seemed like such a big part of the Skull Knight. As far as him always showing up riding on his steed, had that billowing cape behind him whenever he was serving people. So that would be my complaint here, is it just doesn't feel quite like the Skull Knight without the cape. Yeah, I really don't know what else to say about this armor. Nice armor set. Again, Morito as well. I actually think this next armor is going to be the last of Morito. No, I got two more. This one is by far the Skull Knight I prefer. This is also by Morito, but this is the Skull Knight Berserk. This replaces the Blaidd armor set. Has a very different feel. You've got the nice billowing cape. You've got the still cool chest plate appearance, all that. As well as the skull head, of course, which, you know, can't really be the Skull Knight without the skull head. And overall, yeah, it's just an overall really cool armor set. Actually, probably one of my top two favorite out of the ones I'm reviewing. I think my favorite is probably the Berserker by MPL. But this Skull Knight is probably number two, or Griffith's armor, or Griffith's cosplay is number two. One of those two. But basically, these three armor are in my top ones. The Grunbeld, the Griffith, Band of the Hawk. Griffith, Band of the Hawk. What's the other one? The Skull Knight, Griffith, Band of the Hawk, Grunbeld. The Black Swordsman was kind of cool. I'd say like Black Swordsman's probably like the fourth, where I kind of don't like the Band of the Hawk cosplay or the original Skull Knight cosplay. Both the Skull Knight Berserker and the Griffith cosplay are just so much better than the other model set available for them by Morito that I would stick to those two personally. And as always, all the links to all these different mods are going to be down in the description. So if you see one that you really like, you want to try out, go ahead and knock yourself out. They're really easy to mod using ModEngine. Just create the ModEngine file for it, or the ModEngine folder for it. Put it in the INI file, or just drop it into the basic mod file. And it's just normally parts. You don't really have anything as far as like the regulation bin or anything for most of these. The exception of that, I believe, is the Berserker armor. Actually uses the bin file, but that's, I think, because it renames the actual armor components. Now, we have the first version of the BEHELIT sword. This is my least favorite version. I believe it replaces the Bloodfang, which the sword just, I mean, it's got some stuff to it. It's better than the Great Sword, obviously, but it's not as good as the other option I'm going to talk about next. It's got a nice appearance. I don't like the fact it's not glowing, but still, all in all, it's not a bad model. It's just not as cool as the other Berserk BEHELIT sword that you've seen me use throughout the entire video. There's a reason I use that other BEHELIT sword almost exclusively. For anybody who doesn't know what the BEHELIT sword is, it's basically a sword created by the Skull Knight by consuming the different BEHELITs he gets from the slain demons throughout the series of Berserk. He then eventually regurgitates them into the BEHELIT sword. And yeah, it's just... I mean, it's a cool sword. Again, just not... It's not the top of the line. Boruto does good stuff, and I like a lot of his mods, but this one just didn't quite measure up compared to the other BEHELIT sword. And part of it could just, again, have been the fact that he modded the Bloodfang sword versus the other one modded a different sword with a far better special attack, which made it way more useful. And again, it's the reason you saw me using it in almost every single fight. I just love it so much. This is a Berserk sword of Actuation by Madao, and this is my go-to. I don't remember what sword this replaces, but it is freaking phenomenal. The sword's glowing. You've seen me use this on so many enemies. Basically, once I started using this sword, I just used it for everything. Primarily because of this. This is nice, which has nothing to do with the actual model itself. I mean, the glowing sword, all that, well done. But the sword it replaced... Oh, that's a great sword. And if you're wanting a sword modded throughout the game that you're going to use, I would go with this one. Anyways, that's it. This was Couchman. You guys all have a good night, a great tomorrow, and an amazing rest of the week. I'll see you next time.